I'm very much in a space right now where I'm not doing anything that's going to compromise my peace and happiness.
Period.
Maintain your power. Don't give your power away to anybody. That I feel like is the key to like truly being happy in or out of a relationship.
I'm very much in a space right now where I'm not doing anything that's going to compromise my peace and happiness. Maintain your power. Don't give your power away to anybody. That, according to the ultimate IT girl Lori Harvey, is the golden key to true happiness, whether you are locked in a high-profile romance or enjoying the single life. But what if that poetic statement about peace was actually the ultimate cover-up for a devastating Hollywood betrayal? What if the pristine, Hollywood romance image we were all sold was nothing more than a carefully orchestrated illusion? Lori Harvey has finally broken her silence to reveal the real jaw-dropping reason behind her sudden split from Creed superstar Michael B. Jordan. Prepare yourselves, because what she just uncovered is going to completely change the way you look at Hollywood's favorite golden boy. Just when the internet thought the dust from their dramatic 2022 breakup had finally settled, Lori walked into a new interview and decided to tear down the entire narrative. For years, the public blamed her. The blogs labeled her as commitment phobic. Fans claim she simply ran away from a good man because she did not want to settle down. But the truth always finds a way out. Apparently, Michael B. Jordan was not the perfect, tight-lipped, deeply devoted gentleman he pretended to be on the red carpet. New revelations suggest he was allegedly playing a double game the entire time, cheating on Lori throughout the course of their relationship and moving in the shadows. Did Michael B. Jordan actually step out on the most sought-after woman in the entertainment industry? Is Hollywood's most eligible bachelor officially guilty of these massive allegations? Let us look at the evidence, because the mask is officially slipping. The entertainment industry thrives on the meticulous curation of public personas, but nothing compares to the absolute shockwave that rippled through social media when Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan officially called it quits. To understand the sheer magnitude of this scandal, we must first dissect the foundational myths of their romance. They first started dating in November of 2020, when sharp-eyed paparazzi captured them stepping off a plane at an airport in Lori's hometown just a few days before Thanksgiving. It was the classic Hollywood setup, a flawless intersection of viral internet culture and cinematic royalty. By January of 2021, they chose to go completely Instagram official, simultaneously posting moody, romantic photographs alongside each other on their respective feeds. For a man like Michael, who had spent over a decade keeping his romantic life under a strict digital lockdown, this public declaration was unprecedented. When the media pressed him about why he finally decided to open the curtains to his private life, Michael offered a deeply philosophical explanation. He claimed that the premeditated planning required to stay out of the public often kills spontaneity and intimacy. He insisted that he wanted to strip away that heavy armor and give this relationship the best possible chance to be normal in a deeply weird world. He concluded that it was simply a matter of perfect timing. The public absolutely devoured this narrative. We were told, through a series of glossy magazine profiles and calculated talk show appearances, that this was a match made in celebrity heaven. Lori herself was uncharacteristically gushy, constantly reminding interviewers that they balanced each other perfectly. She openly echoed the old adage that when you know, confidently applying that logic to her situation with Michael. She painted a picture of a man who was not only a global movie star, but an incredibly attentive, listening partner. She praised how he listened to the smallest details of her conversations and made a deliberate, daily effort to make her feel cherished. While he excelled at orchestrating massive, cinematic grand gestures for major holidays, Valentine's Day, and birthdays, Lori insisted it was the everyday attentiveness that truly made her crazy about him. Insiders close to the couple rushed to the press to confirm that the relationship had escalated into something deeply serious very quickly. Sources told major entertainment outlets that the two were practically inseparable, with Lori spending almost all of her free time at Michael's luxurious Los Angeles estate, whenever they were not traveling the globe together. It was a romance designed to look bulletproof, which is precisely why the sudden unceremonious collapse of their union sent the entire internet into a tailspin. The illusion of perfection shattered only a few weeks after they had publicly celebrated their one-year anniversary. Michael had taken to his digital platforms with a series of intimate snaps, captioning the gallery with a statement about what a crazy, beautiful year it had been. They had even enjoyed a lavish, ultra-private dinner for two to commemorate the milestone, leaving fans convinced that an engagement announcement was imminent. Then, without warning, the first major outlet broke the news that the relationship was completely dead. The initial narrative fed to the public was carefully sanitized for public relations protection. A source alleged to have direct knowledge of the situation claimed that Lori had simply realized they were no longer on the same page while discussing long-term plans for their future. The insider suggested that Lori was still focused on her career, wanting to remain free and focused on fun, while portraying Michael as the heartbroken, mature gentleman who was simply ready to settle down. Another prominent insider went even further, telling the press that both individuals were completely heartbroken and still harbored deep love for one another. This secondary narrative claimed that Michael had matured immensely over the course of the relationship, lowering his emotional guard for the very first time in a romantic setting. He was framed as the ultimate tragic hero, a man who brought out the absolute best in his partner, only to be left behind because she was simply not ready to commit to a lifetime together. Given that Michael was a whole 10 years ahead of Lori in age, this explanation initially seemed logical to the casual observer. It made perfect sense that a 25-year-old woman's heart might be in a completely different place compared to a man in his mid-30s who was actively looking to build a traditional family dynamic. However, the internet public refused to accept this pristine, clean-cut explanation, and a massive wave of public backlash immediately targeted Lori Harvey. The digital space transformed into a court of public opinion, with commentators and fans aggressively calling her out for allegedly letting a premium, high-value man walk away. Social media users began drafting lengthy threads analyzing her dating history, arguing that while her transition from chaotic rappers to an A-list actor looked like personal growth, her sudden exit proved she could never be taken seriously. Critics boldly predicted that by walking away from a stable, devoted partner, she was doomed to only attract toxic dynamics moving forward. The narrative hardened into a consensus that Lori simply possessed a short attention span for relationships, moving ruthlessly from one high-profile man to the next before anyone could truly catch their breath. The vitriol grew increasingly aggressive, with some users making highly derogatory comments about her dating frequency, claiming no man of high status would ever marry her. Meanwhile, a completely separate faction of the internet began praising her autonomy, arguing that a wealthy, stunning, independent woman had absolutely no reason to rush into marriage or compromise her youth. Yet, beneath all the arguments, a more cynical theory began to take root. A growing number of skeptics began openly questioning whether the entire relationship had been a highly sophisticated public relations stunt from the very beginning. Commentators pointed out that the reasoning behind the breakup sounded entirely too scripted, too clean, and too beneficial for both of their public brands. Some went as far as to claim the romance was manufactured entirely for social media clout and red carpet visibility, arguing that Michael's true personal preferences did not align with the image being projected. This brings us to the highly suspicious digital aftermath of the split, where Lori decided to completely wipe her digital canvas clean. Borrowing a highly aggressive strategy straight from the playbook of her most infamous exes, she completely scrubbed every single trace of Michael from her Instagram grid. For an audience accustomed to modern relationship dynamics, this total digital erasure spoke volumes. It was a loud, undeniable sign that this breakup was not the smooth, amicable parting of ways that the publicists wanted everyone to believe. You do not systematically delete every memory of a person if you parted ways with mutual love and respect. Shortly after this digital purge, Lori appeared in an interview with E! News, flashing a radiant smile and declaring that she was in a truly incredible, happy space. She expressed immense excitement for her future, completely brushing past the tragedy of the split. But the real cracks in the story did not start showing until Lori sat down for a highly publicized interview with Bumble, where she dropped a series of heavy-coded truths. During this conversation, she explicitly stated that she was fiercely protecting her peace and happiness, refusing to do anything that would compromise her joy. She emphasized the absolute necessity of maintaining one's own power and never surrendering that power to another individual, calling it the ultimate secret to true happiness whether in or out of a relationship. To the trained ear, this was not the commentary of a woman who simply wasn't ready for commitment. This was the language of someone who had been deeply compromised, someone who felt her power had been threatened by the very person who claimed to cherish her. The narrative of the youthful, flighty girl running away from a good man began to completely dissolve, replacing itself with something far more sinister. The plot thickened dramatically when whispered reports began surfacing from the underbelly of Hollywood gossip networks, suggesting that Michael had been living a complete double life. According to these emerging accounts, the actor had allegedly been engaging in deceptive behavior throughout the entirety of their high-profile romance. The rumors did not just stop at general unfaithfulness. They specifically indicated that Michael had been secretly communicating with a prominent former romantic partner behind Lori's back. Speculation reached a fever pitch with claims that he had officially reunited with this mysterious ex-girlfriend a mere matter of days after Lori officially ended the relationship. This timeline raised massive red flags, suggesting that the connection with the ex had never actually been terminated, and that Michael had been maintaining a parallel emotional safety net while playing the part of the devoted boyfriend on Instagram. Lori practically confirmed the underlying tension of these rumors during her sit-down interview with Teyana Taylor on the Bumble platform. When asked point-blank to identify her absolute maximum relationship red flag when meeting a potential partner, Lori did not hesitate for a single second. She looked directly at the camera and stated with absolute finality that if a man is too close to his ex-girlfriends, that is an immediate, non-negotiable wrap. The timing of this specific statement was a tactical missile, aimed directly at the media narrative surrounding her breakup. She was providing the public with the exact blueprint of what went wrong behind closed doors. She was telling the world that the ghost of Michael's past was actively haunting their present, validating the whispers that an ex-partner was deeply embedded in the fabric of their relationship. The validation of these rumors gained massive momentum when an anonymous insider leaked a highly detailed report to the infamous celebrity watchdog platform Dumois. The source adamantly insisted that while the romance between Lori and Michael was entirely authentic, Michael had been actively communicating with multiple other women throughout the duration of their time together. The source clarified that while there may not have been physical infidelity, the level of emotional cheating was profound and continuous. The leak specifically detailed Michael's intense, daily bond with one particular woman who resided abroad. According to the informant, Michael and this foreign woman were locked in a state of mutual obsession, engaging in daily FaceTime calls and actively mapping out a future together during the exact same months he was publicly professing his love for Lori. This secret digital romance allegedly continued until it eventually fizzled out, leaving a trail of digital breadcrumbs that Lori ultimately discovered. The scandal reached a point of absolute no return when Hollywood veteran Lisa Ray, who happens to possess an incredibly close, multi-generational bond with Lori Harvey and her family, decided to completely expose the situation on national television. Speaking openly on the popular show Cocktails with Queens, Lisa Ray utterly dismantled the public relations lie that Lori was simply not ready for a serious commitment. She stated with immense authority that when a young woman finds a truly exceptional man, she does not walk away, because that is exactly what women are actively looking for. Lisa Ray then dropped a massive bombshell, confirming that she had direct knowledge from industry insiders regarding Michael's previous serious relationship. She stated explicitly that the pressure of social media and the glare of the spotlight had overwhelmed Michael, and that according to what she had heard directly through the grapevine, Michael was so deeply serious about his ex-girlfriend that he never truly stopped missing her. This public exposure by a close family ally completely recontextualized every single action Lori took following the split. It explained why she broke her own rule of maintaining a pristine, drama-free public image by posting a highly specific, provocative photograph on her Instagram stories featuring a luxury vehicle sporting a license plate that boldly read, "Dump him." For a woman who had navigated breakups with highly volatile, controversial figures without ever leaving a single messy trace online, this specific post was a glaring sign of deep resentment. It was a clear, calculated message to her audience that she had discovered the deception and had actively taken out the trash. The revelation that the industry's ultimate good guy was allegedly a master of emotional manipulation caused an immediate, massive shift in how fans viewed the entire situation. Social media users immediately began drawing parallels between the overtly toxic men of the entertainment industry and the wolves who choose to hide in sheep's clothing. One viral commentary noted that when a woman dates an established bad boy, she enters the dynamic with her guard fully up, meaning a betrayal causes very little genuine surprise. However, when a woman completely lowers her guard for a man who has painstakingly constructed a perfect, wholesome public image, only to find out she has been completely scammed, the emotional fallout is infinitely more severe. Commentators argued that men like Michael possess the perfect external presentation, making them far more dangerous than street figures because they understand exactly how to mask their darker habits behind a sophisticated smile. The conversation quickly evolved from a critique of Lori's commitment levels into a deep, investigative dissection of Michael B. Jordan's carefully crafted public image, setting the stage for a much larger reckoning. This realization sent shockwaves through the digital landscape, completely shifting the gravity of the entire situation. The investigation into Michael B. Jordan's hidden lifestyle began to intensify as more anonymous whistleblowers and internet sleuths started digging beneath the surface of his pristine Hollywood image. The narrative was no longer about a simple age gap or two people wanting different things in life. It became an expose on how high-profile figures use specialized public relations teams to construct a flawless illusion while masking chaotic personal lives. Analysts pointed out that the sudden silence from Michael's camp was the first major indicator that something was deeply wrong behind the scenes. Usually, when a major movie star is hit with accusations of unfaithfulness, their team immediately issues a fierce denial or launches a counter-narrative to protect their box office value. Instead, there was a deafening silence that spoke louder than any public statement ever could. Behind closed doors, the fallout was reportedly causing absolute chaos within the major talent agencies representing the actor. Hollywood insiders leaked information suggesting that several high-end luxury brands, which were on the verge of signing multi-million-dollar endorsement deals with Michael, suddenly paused negotiations. These corporate entities pride themselves on family-friendly, wholesome representation, and the mere whisper of emotional manipulation and deceit was enough to make their legal teams incredibly nervous. The stakes were astronomical, given that Michael was not just an actor but a brand director and a major producer with massive capital tied up in upcoming cinematic franchises. A scandal of this magnitude threatened to completely derail the carefully calculated trajectory of his career, proving that the digital era leaves no room for hidden secrets. As the weeks progressed, more specific details regarding the mysterious foreign woman began to filter through specialized celebrity networks. Rumors began to circulate that this was not just a passing digital infatuation, but an intricate, long-standing relationship that predated his entire public romance with Lori. Whistleblowers claimed that Michael had established a highly secure, secondary communication method specifically designed to keep these conversations completely invisible to the paparazzi and to Lori herself. The level of premeditation involved in maintaining this secret connection was what truly devastated Lori when she eventually discovered the digital trail. It became clear that the red carpet appearances, the public declarations of love, and the coordinated social media posts were occurring simultaneously with daily, intimate FaceTime sessions directed across the ocean. This brought a completely new perspective to Michael's past statements about wanting to give the relationship a normal chance in a weird world. Critics now viewed those words through a highly cynical lens, suggesting that his desire to bring the relationship into the public eye was actually a strategic move to create the ultimate camouflage. After all, who would ever suspect a man of stepping out when he is constantly posting his girlfriend on his main feed and praising her in front of global audiences? It was the ultimate psychological misdirection, a tactic often utilized by individuals who understand exactly how to manipulate public perception to their advantage. Lori was reportedly left completely blindsided, not just by the betrayal itself, but by the sheer scale of the theater she had been living in. The digital footprints left behind by the actor began to be scrutinized by independent internet forensic analysts who specialize in tracking celebrity interactions. These tech-savvy commentators noticed strange patterns in Michael's online activity during his international press tours for his major film releases. Geotag data, deleted comments, and sudden shifts in his online following list suggested that he was actively connecting with a network of high-profile individuals far away from the watchful eyes of the American media. The puzzle pieces were starting to come together, painting a vivid picture of a man who enjoyed the stability of a high-value domestic partnership while secretly indulging in the freedom of an unattached international lifestyle. Meanwhile, the impact on Lori Harvey's inner circle was profound. Her father, television mogul Steve Harvey, who had previously gone on national talk shows to praise Michael's character and manners, reportedly felt deeply disrespected by the emerging truths. Steve Harvey had publicly stated that he was firmly Team Michael, noting that the actor was a good man from a good family who checked every single box. To have that exact same man allegedly humiliate his daughter behind closed doors was a massive insult to the family honor. Sources claimed that the atmosphere within the Harvey household transformed into one of fierce protection and quiet anger, as they resolved to let Lori handle the narrative on her own terms without initiating a messy, public media war that would only feed the tabloids. This quiet strategic retaliation was exactly why Lori chose to use subtle platforms like the Bumble interview and highly specific social media posts, rather than a traditional explosive press conference. She understood that in the modern media landscape, dropping coded hints and strategic truths is infinitely more powerful than launching direct accusations. By identifying the proximity to an ex-girlfriend as her ultimate, non-negotiable red flag, she allowed the public to do the investigative work for her. The internet did not disappoint, immediately connecting her statements to the long-standing rumors regarding Michael's lingering attachment to his past partner. The strategy was flawless, completely shifting the public sympathy back to her side while leaving Michael's team with absolutely no narrative to fight back against. The public backlash against Michael began to manifest in real time, with fans turning his own cinematic quotes and promotional materials against him. Comment sections on his official platforms were flooded with references to his alleged double life, with users demanding answers about the cheating allegations. The golden boy image was actively crumbling, replaced by a widespread skepticism that threatened to impact his future box office draw. The controversy served as a stark reminder to the entertainment industry that the public is no longer willing to blindly accept a curated public relations image when the behind-the-scenes reality is filled with deception and manipulation. As the narrative deepened, independent commentators began to analyze the broader societal implications of this specific scandal. The situation became a prime example of how modern relationships are heavily impacted by digital communication and the ease with which parallel lives can be maintained in the digital space. The discussion evolved into a massive debate about the definition of unfaithfulness, with millions of users arguing whether daily, secretive emotional connections carry the exact same weight as physical betrayal. The consensus heavily leaned toward the idea that emotional deception is often far more damaging, as it actively erodes the mental peace and psychological safety of a partner who believes they are in a completely secure, transparent dynamic. Lori's fierce declaration that she was protecting her peace and refusing to surrender her power became an anthem for millions of young women navigating the complexities of modern dating. Her words resonated far beyond the confines of celebrity gossip, transformed into a powerful message about self-worth, boundaries, and the absolute necessity of walking away from dynamics that compromise your mental well-being. She proved that no matter how attractive, successful, or universally loved a partner might be, they are never worth the sacrifice of one's internal happiness and personal sovereignty. The narrative had completely flipped, transforming Lori from the villain of a breakup story into the ultimate symbol of modern female empowerment. The investigation took an even more dramatic turn when an independent digital media platform claimed to have obtained a series of leaked text messages belonging to an individual within Michael's immediate traveling entourage. These messages reportedly discussed the logistical difficulties of managing the actor's private schedules during his international promotional campaigns, explicitly mentioning the need to keep certain visits and communication logs entirely confidential. While the platform did not release the direct screenshots to avoid severe legal retaliation from the actor's powerhouse legal team, the detailed descriptions of the messages were enough to send the internet into an absolute frenzy. The evidence was mounting at an alarming rate, making it virtually impossible for the casual observer to dismiss the allegations as mere internet fiction. Every single layer of defense that Michael's public relations team had built over the years was being systematically dismantled by the sheer volume of emerging testimonies and digital anomalies. The sophisticated facade was completely gone, leaving behind a highly controversial reality that forced the entire industry to reevaluate the true nature of Hollywood's favorite gentleman. The tension was palpable, with everyone waiting to see how this massive exposure would ultimately impact the upcoming production schedules and massive financial investments tied directly to his name. The stage was set for an even greater revelation, as the boundaries between public image and private reality continued to clash in the most spectacular fashion imaginable, leading directly into the darker, hidden dynamics of the industry's elite networks. The global media network quickly picked up on these emerging logistics logs, and the conversation shifted from digital speculation to potential long-term industry consequences. Legal experts specializing in entertainment contracts began publicizing breakdowns of how major studios utilize morals clauses to protect their massive financial investments. If an actor's public reputation sustains enough damage to negatively impact theater ticket sales or brand alignment, these specialized clauses allow corporations to legally terminate contracts or heavily reduce financial payouts. Michael's position as a premier director and lead producer meant that hundreds of millions of dollars in production capital were directly tied to his marketability, creating immense panic behind closed doors at major film studios. The financial vulnerability of his production empire became the primary topic of discussion across major entertainment business platforms. Independent finance analysts reported that a major streaming service had quietly delayed the announcement of a highly anticipated development deal with Michael's production company. While the official reason provided to the public cited scheduling conflicts and script revisions, industry insiders adamantly maintained that the studio executives were terrified of the building public backlash. The risk of consumers boycotting high-budget projects due to the unfaithfulness allegations was a scenario that corporate shareholders were simply not willing to entertain, proving that public perception dictates financial survival in the modern era. As the narrative tightened around his professional endeavors, the public backlash began translating into tangible digital metrics. Analytical data tracking social media engagement revealed that Michael's official platforms were experiencing an unprecedented drop in active followers, losing hundreds of thousands of users within a matter of days. More importantly, the engagement metrics on his promotional posts plummeted, with the comment sections remaining entirely dominated by critical inquiries regarding his past relationship with Lori. The digital community was actively refusing to let the issue slide, systematically dismantling the actor's ability to promote his commercial products without being confronted by the allegations of emotional deception. This massive shift in audience sentiment caught the immediate attention of major talent agencies in Beverly Hills. Reports began leaking that a high-profile crisis management firm had been quietly retained to conduct an emergency audit of Michael's public image. The strategy sessions were reportedly focused on finding a way to shift the public narrative away from his personal life and back toward his artistic achievements. However, crisis management experts noted that traditional public relations tactics fail completely when faced with specific, organic revelations like the ones Lori dropped during her interviews. The modern audience has grown incredibly sophisticated, making it impossible to simply bury a major controversy beneath a wave of generic charitable acts or scripted press releases. The domestic situation within the broader Hollywood social circles grew increasingly strained as various high-profile figures began quietly taking sides in the dispute. Lori's status as a major fashion icon and entrepreneur meant that her network extended deep into the elite circles of modeling, music, and corporate branding. Sources claim that several major industry events witnessed a noticeable divide, with prominent celebrities actively avoiding being photographed with Michael to protect their own standing with Lori's powerful family and network. The isolation was a clear indication that the entertainment community was fully aware of the underlying truth of the situation, choosing to distance themselves from a collapsing public relations structure. Meanwhile, independent investigative commentators began drawing up extensive timelines matching Michael's international travel dates with the specific digital anomalies discovered by internet forensic teams. The matching data showed an undeniable pattern of mysterious, unpublicized layovers and private villa rentals in European coastal cities during times when production schedules did not require his presence. The level of detail contained in these public timelines made it incredibly difficult for even his most loyal fans to maintain his innocence. The picture was no longer one of a tragic, heartbroken man, but rather an elite individual who utilized his immense wealth and global mobility to maintain a complex, hidden personal life far away from domestic oversight. Lori's ultimate decision to maintain her silence following her initial interview revelations proved to be her most lethal strategic move. By completely stepping back from the public conversation, she allowed the mounting evidence and public momentum to do the heavy lifting on her behalf. She did not engage in messy digital arguments, nor did she release emotional statements detailing her pain. Instead, she focused entirely on expanding her luxury skincare and fashion lines, using her public appearances to showcase her absolute peak physical and mental state. Her brilliant execution of the old adage that success is the ultimate revenge left Michael's team with absolutely no targets to attack, rendering their counter-strategy completely useless. The broader cultural conversation sparked by this fallout began to heavily influence the content being produced by digital relationship analysts across the globe. The phrase "maintaining your power" became an iconic internet mantra, referenced in thousands of essays, podcasts, and self-help forums analyzing the dynamics of modern intimacy. Lori's specific definition of happiness became a benchmark for individual autonomy, encouraging a generation of young consumers to ruthlessly prioritize their mental peace over the societal pressure of staying in high-status, deceptive relationships. The controversy had successfully transformed a standard celebrity breakup into a massive cultural turning point regarding relationship boundaries and self-worth. As the corporate pressure continued to mount, whispers began circulating that Michael's legal team was preparing a series of aggressive cease and desist orders aimed at the independent digital platforms publishing the leaked logistics logs. However, legal experts pointed out that launching a massive legal war against independent media outlets often produces the Streisand effect, drawing infinitely more public attention to the exact information you are desperately trying to conceal. The potential for a legal discovery process, where private text messages and travel manifests could be formally subpoenaed and placed into public court records, was an absolute nightmare scenario for his representation, effectively trapping them in a state of strategic paralysis. The final realization for the entertainment industry was that the era of the untouchable, perfectly curated movie star is officially dead. The rise of decentralized investigative platforms and sophisticated digital forensics means that private behavior will inevitably impact public and commercial viability. No amount of studio backing or public relations manufacturing can permanently protect an individual when the underlying reality of their actions stands in direct opposition to the image they sell to the public. The collapse of the Golden Boy narrative served as a loud warning to elite figures across Hollywood, proving that transparency and genuine integrity are the only real defenses against total reputational ruin in the modern digital age. Every single calculated attempt to salvage the actor's wholesome presentation seemed to trigger an equal and opposite reaction from the digital community, keeping the controversy alive week after week. The ongoing scrutiny forced major studio executives to sit down for intense, long-term risk assessment meetings regarding the future casting of major cinematic franchises. The reality was clear: the audience had made their choice, firmly standing behind the woman who chose to protect her peace rather than endure a high-profile deception. The narrative structure of Hollywood had been completely flipped on its head, leaving the former industry golden boy to navigate a heavily compromised professional landscape, while the true story of his unfaithfulness continued to echo across the global entertainment network. This entire situation leaves us with one massive, undeniable question that completely shatters the illusion of Hollywood's perfect gentleman. Do you really believe that Michael B. Jordan was maintaining a complete double life throughout his time with Lori? Or do you think the industry's ultimate good guy simply got caught up in a web of his own sophisticated public relations? The evidence floating around the digital space right now is entirely too specific to ignore, and the mask has officially slipped. It makes you wonder how many other high-profile figures are hiding massive secrets behind a curated red carpet smile, while their partners are left fighting to maintain their personal power and peace. We want to know exactly what you think about this wild Hollywood exposure, so make sure to drop your thoughts and deep theories in the comments section down below. Was Lori completely justified in wiping her digital canvas clean and dropping those major red flag truths? Or is there still a deeper layer to this story that we have not uncovered yet? If you want to stay ahead of the game and get the absolute raw truth behind the biggest entertainment industry cover-ups, make sure to hit that like button right now. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications, so you never miss our next massive investigative breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. Keep protecting your own peace, and stay tuned because things are only about to get infinitely messier from here on out.